Why don't you ever work when I push the... Hello there, what's crack? I'm Scotty. You're not. It doesn't work, and then it does work, and it... So we have made it to Freddy versus Jason. Yes, which I'm reviewing as part of the Freddy Revisited series because it's more of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie than it is a Friday the 13th movie. They mention Jason's backstory, but that's about it. We have a little flashback dream sequence. Other than that, they don't even get a lot of his mythology right. Think about it. But yes, this came back. This came back. We're messing. This came out back. This came out back in 2003, the year of our Lord. I was in high school. I don't remember. I didn't watch 2004 anyway. Like I mentioned before, after my great grandma passed away, I got her horror movies, and this was one of them. Since this was fresh in my mind at the time, I watched this one first. And I was immediately confused by the backstory and thought, oh, I watched all the other Nightmare on Elm Street movies it'll make sense. No, I've watched them so many times, and it's so confusing because this movie comes in with, it just feels like a sequel to a movie that's already happened. Like they have an established setting, established characters. It's one of those things where if you're thinking Freddy vs. Jason, you want certain characters. Now, back in the day, I didn't care because I didn't know, but certain characters from Nightmare on Elm Street, like maybe Alice and her son, who are like really the only survivors from there, and maybe his daughter, but we don't need to talk about that. I still don't consider it canon at this, but by the way, and maybe bring, I don't know, Tommy Jarvis back, but no, we have entirely new characters, which is fine. It's fine. It works for this movie. Watching this and looking at the cast, I'm just like, this is my movie. Filmed in Canada, like a lot of the shows that I grew up watching. Smallville, Supernatural, One Tree Hill maybe? A lot of those. Filmed in Canada. That I grew in the 2000s. Degrassi was a Canadian show. Yeah, a lot of those that I watched in the 2000s. They're filmed in Canada. Canada had a great export into the U.S., whether it's U.S. shows filming there or bringing their shows to America. The 2000s were the place for that. So, actually, you could say it started in the late 90s. Big Wolf on Campus was my first appearance, my first actual Canadian shows. So anyway, but yeah. And so look at the cast for this, right? You got Monica Keena, who I didn't know at the time, but I know her now. She's from that Night of the Demons remake, but she was also in Undeclared, which I only know because they played it on the end for a while, or D-Nick now, but which they only play Nickelodeon stuff now. You realize that? You look at Teen Nick, and it's only Nickelodeon stuff since they branded it from the end. They had a lot of exported stuff from Canada, a lot of acquired programming when it was the end. So as it became Teen Nick, strictly Nickelodeon stuff. Nothing from on Nickelodeon, nothing. Unless it's acquired programming that Nickelodeon had. Like H2O, Just Dead Water. Wasn't there like some kind of show about some girl cooking in the kitchen or something? Talia in the kitchen, I don't know. But anyway, I didn't watch those. So we have Monica Keena from Undeclared, and later the Night of the Demons remake. And this is before she messed up her face with plastic surgery. Ladies, stop it. You're not looking better. You're looking worse. She's gorgeous here. And in the Night of the Demons remake, she looks like silly putty melted on her face. This is not attractive. Anyway, we have Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child. All these years later, I still don't know why she's in this. My girl, Catherine Isabel, she was on Smallville before this. She would be on Supernatural after this. She was, I think she was on Smallville around the same time, actually. And then she went on Supernatural after this. She was in See No Evil 2. She's Ginger Snaps. All three of those, even though her character died in the first one. Spoiler alert. How has she not been in a Final Destination movie? Like, at all. She would have been a prime cast for that. Like, take Sarah Carter. Not, another gorgeous woman. But she could take that place. How is she not a character in one of those movies in the 2000s, right? I'm just saying, being a Canadian actress and all that. But, yes, we get her and her stunt boobs, because it wasn't her. We get her boyfriend, Trey, the asshole, is played by Jesse Hutch, who was on Smallville. Maybe Supernatural, I don't know, maybe. At some point, they've all been on there, I think. And you might know him, horror fans may know him from Joyride 3, or not. Did anyone watch that movie? I think it's fine, but yeah. Chris Marquette, who was in Alpha Dog and The Girl Next Door, and would go on to be in Always Watching a Marble Hornet Story. You see him, you go, it's that guy. It's that guy. Another Canadian alumnus, playing Mark. What the hell's his name? Well, he was Grady in the Goosebumps episode Goosebumps episode Werewolf of Fever Swamp. He was in The Horrible Leprechaun Origins, which I'm thinking about covering next year just to get over with. He was in this, obviously. He's been in other things. You see him pop up. Yeah, I forget the actor. What's the actor's name? I'm gonna have to, hold on. You're gonna hear my Xbox turn on, because I didn't turn it on yet. So, shut up, bird. Brendan Fletcher. I didn't have to. Brendan Fletcher. You'd recognize him, Brendan Fletcher. His older brother is played by the bully from The Christmas Story. I can't think of his name either. If it wasn't Canadian enough, we have two Canadian actors as adults in this. The actor who played Laurie, Laurie's father, also played Quinn Mallory's father on Sliders. The first, he was the first actor to play him. And he's one of those actors you've seen in a lot of Canadian-produced TV series. We have Gary Chalk, the voice of Optimus Primal in Beast Wars and Beast Machines. He was on Stargate SG-1, and he's another one of those actors you'd see him from those Canadian-produced TV shows. Oh, him. He's got that voice that kind of sounds like this. You know, Lachlan Monroe from Scary Movie and White Chicks. Yeah. What else? Is that it? I think that's it. Oh, Chris Gauthier makes a cameo role in here as what was his name? Stack or something? I don't know. But he's another one of those characters in Canadian produced shows where you go, that guy, I remember that guy. He passed away a couple of years ago. That sucks. But like, he's like, that guy, it's that guy in Canadian shows. He was Ronald on Supernatural. He was supposedly two different characters on Smallville, but I'm saying it was the same character. He was the Toy Man. And I'm calling it he was the same character. It's the same character. Because he shows up in season 3, which we already talked about. And then later he comes back as the Toy Man, and I think I'm saying it's the same guy. It's the same character. So it makes sense, right? He's been in Stargate, SG-1, plenty of other things. So yeah, one of those guy actors. When it came to casting the villains, well, obviously Robert Englund returned as Freddy Krueger, but director Ronnie Yu hired Ken Kurtzinger to play Jason instead of Kane Hodder, because New Line wanted this to be sort of like a reboot type situation, a fresh start, and they wanted Jason to be taller than Freddy, which doesn't make any sense because Freddy's their boy, right? But they wanted Jason to be taller than Freddy, and Kane Hodder is not. Sean S. Cunningham did not like this change, but what are you going to do? Ronnie Yu directs this pretty well. He did Bride of Chucky before this, and he does it. I like the red lighting for when they're in Freddy's dream world. There's some blue lighting sometimes. It's really good. It's really good. So, like I said, the story is a bit confusing because the story, while it references, like this opening references the original movies, but this feels like a continuation to a movie that was never made, but they made a sequel to that movie that was never made. Like, they had a script, we're making this movie, this is Nightmare on Elm Street 8, and then they're like, well, we're not making that, but let's make Freddy vs. Jason. It's a sequel script to that, but we're going to ignore that. Because it feels like there's a backstory. And I still stand on the hill after watching through this and listening to the backstory of these. There's no way, despite the fact that they do show clips, very briefly, from Freddy's Dead, but it's just his daughter, Doc, and Tracy kicking his ass very quickly. I still say that Freddy's Dead is not canon, because if you can't count it as canon, because if you look at the time jump, right, that puts Freddy's Dead taking place in 2001, right? And this is 2003. So you're telling me that within 2 years, the town got back to normal. There are kids in the town again, and there are still law enforcement that know about it. This whole thing with Lori's mom happened. They're thrown in the Weston Hills. Mark's brother is killed, committed suicide. And you're saying, are you telling me that all these people moved to Springwood after the fact, after Freddy was dead and all that stuff? Well, and apparently, also, if that's where how Freddy was supposed to die, and this is a continuation of a story we haven't seen yet, it didn't work, apparently. And you're telling me everyone was able to move in there for 2 years, and then Freddy... it makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's like they only watched the first 3 movies and went, we got it. We don't need to watch any more. Because they make references to the third movie, like Hitting a Sill and Weston Hills. But beyond that, there's no other references to anything. Really. You get How Sweet Dark Meat, which is the take on How Sweet Fresh Meat from the fourth one, but you don't really get anything. Despite the whole clip show at the beginning, which is what we get. We get a flash to the beginning. And I remember we were watching this. We watched this the first time, then I watched the first one. I think my sister watched it with me too at some point. And then we watched that one again, and she's like, oh, we saw that one. We started looking at the kills that they showed from the first movie. We saw that one. We didn't see that one yet. That one. Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, so after that flash, we arrive in a place. So apparently there was an extended opening here that would have explained what's going on with this woman and how she was supposed to watch the kids, but she wants to get even with her boyfriend. Because knowing that going into this and watching this scene, it does feel very like Freddy's explaining his whole story, and then it goes into Jason's mask and opens up, and it feels like this is a scene. It feels like we should have started with, we now rejoin your regularly scheduled program, now in progress. Because it feels like it just is the middle of the scene and not the beginning of it. And she's calling her boyfriend, and she's like, eh. And yes, 2003, I was like, that was 2003, I was 16. So, teenage hormones going wild back then. But, yeah. I was allowed to watch that shit. They didn't care. They thought I was old enough. It was fine. As long as I didn't show it around my siblings, it was fine. Although, I still say that... Because one time, my sister freaked out when she saw boobs on a TV. She walked in or something, and I'm like, knock. And I wasn't watching porn. It was a movie. She's like, oh, hey, oh. I'm like, you have those. How, like, I'm like, you have those. How is that? Well, she's 5 years younger than me. Maybe she's gonna. I'm like, how is that to you? What if my brother walked in? Sure, he's not here, or he's sleeping, and knock. I'm in my room. I'm on my own business, but it's just like I'm just like, why do girls complain about seeing female nudity? I get it if it's a dude schlong, but girls are like, oh, when they see boobs on TV, and it's just like, but you have those. Why is it bad for you to see them? I get maybe they're underage, blah, blah, blah. But it's on TV. It's not like a naked person in front of you. It's on TV. It's like, oh. Like, I don't even know. It wasn't this I was watching. It was some other movie with boobs. This is a teenager. It's a teenager is what I said. The teenager I sought out those movies because, horny teenager. Yeah, that always got me. Like, she freaked out. No, I can't see that. But you have those. So why are you... Whatever. She also freaked out. I think I said this. Seed of Chucky. My brother's watching with me, and the doll boobs. I'm like, well, in that case, he shouldn't be seeing that. Well, in that case, hide your Barbies. It's a doll. I get that's a little more realistic doll, but still. It's a doll. It's fake. So are most of the boobs nowadays. I digress. Anyway, to move on to the actual story here. It was 60 minutes that I've already talked about it. So, this girl gets killed. It's a dream sequence. And then Freddy shows up as Pamela Voorhees. And I guess they wanted to get Betsy Palmer back. But she's like, no. She was still alive at this point. But she's like, no. I got my car from the first one. I'm good. So... No. Was this the interview where she's talking about, like, why would they want me back? The first movie was a piece of shit or something like that. She didn't care for it. It was a paycheck for her, is what it was. But no, so they got a new actress here. She does great. Her sweater is red because Freddy. And so Freddy is sending Jason out into the real world to kill. So he resurrects Jason, I guess, to go out and kill for him so that they think it's him. I see how the plan could work. However, Freddy gets very lucky that for some reason, nobody fucking sees Jason. Freaking 7-foot tall hulking beast. Nobody sees him. He gets into Laurie's house and sneaks all the way up fucking stairs. Kills Trey. And Trey is the only one that sees him. Bullshit. How? Just how? He's going up the stairs, you would hear thump, 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 thump. He can't be light on his feet. He's somehow able to twinkle toes up the stairs to kill Trey. We meet our main characters, by the way. Laurie, whose house it is, her best friends, Kia and Gib. Kia is Monica Kina is Laurie. Kelly Rowland. It's Roland, not Rowland. It's Roland. Roland is Kia, and Gib is Catherine Isabel. And so yeah, they're drinking and smoking in high school. I guess you do that. I guess, but like, if I was Laurie, I'd like be careful with the beer because my dad will kill us. But I guess he doesn't care. He's always busy doing stuff, whatever. And then Trey and his best friend, what's his name? Gil? Not Gil. What's his name? I almost said Trey again. It's not his name. I'll call him Gil for now. So Trey and his best friend Gil show up. Yeah, I brought Gil for Linda. So it's Lori. It's not even close. It's not even close. But anyway, so they go upstairs to get busy, have sex. Do it awkwardly, because when we cut up there, she's like, I'm like, what is that? That's not right. And again, it's a body double, and then they have. So he's a dick, but there is one thing I agree with him on, because he's like, well, not being touched after. I like cuddling afterward, but like when he's like, she's like, I don't take a shower. He goes, good, your hair smells like menthols. I don't like it when a girl's hair smells like cigarettes. You get that. No. So she goes to she and her stunt boobs go to take a shower. They're very nice, but they're not hers. And meanwhile, Jason sneaks up the stairs, like I said. So during this, like, Gil, I don't know his name. I can't remember his name. Gil is downstairs talking feng shui with them, and they don't want anything to do with him. And then they go into the kitchen, and he goes in the kitchen, and the kitchen door is wide open. There's an awkward thing where they're standing there talking. He pops up and says, "Hey, kitchen door was open. Closed it." Okay, but you're telling me, Jason, just open the door, because later we see him smash through the door. We're going to talk about Jason always finding them, because it's bullshit. It's convenience for the sake of convenience. But anyway, and how lucky that he comes. Like, did Freddy? By the way, if you're going to Spring, you go to Springwood, you go to Elm Street, 1428 Elm. That's my old house. Well, maybe not in this continuity, but I killed a bitch there. well, yeah, I killed her mom, actually. You know? I don't know. But yeah, so Jason somehow gets in the house without making a noise. I guess he leaves, like, mud tracks or something. Or does he? Because the cops seem to automatically think it's Freddy, even though there are... Because doesn't Gil see the... But I don't know. But he goes up, and Trey's laying there, he's drinking a beer, and then he sees him. Oh, shit! And then he stabs him with a machete, and then... sandwich. You mix a Trey sandwich. And then... when Gib gets out of the closet, what was I about to say? Out of the shower, she comes out, and Jason is just magically gone. Another bullshit. Okay, Jason would have to show up, kill one person, and leave. If Jason shows up at someone's house, he's killing every single one of those motherfuckers in the house. There's no way he just shows up, kills Trey, and leaves. There's no way. Especially when it's raining outside and there's no footprints, apparently. I don't know. But it immediately cuts to them running outside, and she's still on a towel. And Officer Lachlan Monroe just so happens to be driving by. How convenient. A lot of conveniency in this movie. Do you guys need some help? What the fuck do you think? I like that. And, Sheriff Gary Chalk is here. And he goes, it's gotta be him. It's gotta be Freddy Krueger. What about the giant-ass footprints that are probably in the kitchen leading upstairs? Gotta be. It was raining. It was mud. Come on. But no, they think it's Freddy, and they take everyone to the police station, and that's where she has a dream of Freddy, but he's not strong enough yet to get this girl with no eyes. His name is Freddy. Because they gotta deliver exposition somehow for those who you don't know, even though we had that whole clip show at the beginning, we gotta... Meanwhile, Gil is sitting on the front porch, his dad is laying down the right, he goes, I like his reaction. My best friend was fucking killed, Dad! How about you lay off? He makes the declaration of finding who did it, bringing him to justice, which is unfounded because he falls asleep. And he goes, so he hears a noise and walks out into the middle of the street. And Freddy shows up, tries to get him, it doesn't work. And I love Freddy's response of, Not strong enough yet. But soon. Like he looks right at the camera like, you get that, audience? Okay. And then he wakes up, and again, Jason somehow made it up the porch while Gil was sleeping, decapitated Gil's dad, and put the head back on the body, or was able to slice his head without it popping off. And then Gil wakes up and is like, Dad? The head flies off, and then Jason kills Gil. Well, meanwhile, at Weston Hills, Will, I forgot to mention Will. Will is played by Jason Ritter, everyone's favorite Matlock dancer. I follow him on social media, and he posts those things like every Thursday when Matlock's going to be on, and he's just... And I don't know if his wife really cares, but he's like, I have to do this because Melanie's away right now. I do it now because his wife, Melanie Litsky, from 2.5 Men, who I didn't realize was from New Zealand until I heard her in an interview. I'm like, wow, she was really good at hiding her accent. Most people from New Zealand can't hide their accent. Power Rangers. I should say most actors from New Zealand can't hide their accent that well. Power Rangers. Everything from New Zealand. Like, I'll give you this. The actor who played Dustin was good. Shane, not so much. He was always going in and out of his accent. Same thing with the guy who played Cam. And don't get me started on Lothar. The Power Rangers. This is how he said it. Power Rangers. Just saying. Not the best at hiding their New Zealand accents. Actually, I think the guy who played Dustin was Australian. They're close, but not exactly, Anyway, and I think the guy who played Blake was Canadian. He was on Stargate. He should have been in this. So, we go to Laurie's school now, and everyone's like, oh my god, Gil's dead too, and yeah. And why is it like 2 people die in this town, there's no paparazzi or anything, but over in the other Wes Craven universe, you got a bunch of news vans showing up, and yeah. It's also, the cinematography, it's very dim and dull type situation too for most of the movie. But yeah, they're in school, and we are introduced to new characters. Besides Kia and Gib, we meet Linderman, who has a crush on Laurie, and this goes nowhere. It only equivalates to, like, it only adds up to him and Kia having something, but that still goes nowhere. And we meet Freeberg, who is not Jason Mewes, but everyone thinks he is. There was even a gag where they did interviews, and Jason Mewes like, yeah, I was in this movie. Well, it wasn't me? Oh, okay. Because he's very much Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. It's very much Jason Mewes. He smokes weed, all that stuff, and they're going to have a party in the middle of a cornfield? Ohio, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, and he said, "Oh, we're gonna celebrate my boy Trey's death." You didn't know him. You didn't know him at all. And what about Gil? That's not Mark. Meanwhile, at Weston Hills, this scene always aggravated me because Will sees the news report and he asks, "Well, hey, can you turn that up?" And they're like, "No, come on, man, turn it up," and they just turn it off. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why they're so mean. I get they were thrown in there involuntarily, but I don't know. You have to, he thinks he's got to go protect Laurie, so they got to figure out a way to escape. So, with the power of man-ass, Mark moons the security guard guy and gets Thorazine in the booty cheek, like Michael Myers, and And he gets the keys. So they're able to drive off with the Weston Hills van, which they keep. Well, no, it's his brother's van later, but they're able to get out of there and get to the school. And yeah, so he shows up. They show up, and Mark immediately causes panic by announcing Freddy's return and saying the chant and stuff. And then Laurie passes out from lack of sleep, of course. There was a scene in the morning where her dad is putting something into her orange juice, but she doesn't drink it. It's not what you think. It's Hypnosil, so that she doesn't have dreams. Watching, I didn't know what Hypnosil was. They do explain it later. It suppresses dreams. And let me ask you something. After all these years, it's still not approved by the FDA? You think that the government, or at least like the governor of Ohio, Mayor Springwood, governor of Ohio, would have done something to at least get it approved for the state of Ohio, being that's where Freddy seems to show up. But I don't know. And yes, Springwood is in Ohio, despite what happens later in the film. Springwood is supposed to be in Ohio, but that doesn't really make any sense later. We'll get to it. So, while Mark and Will are going through some of the case files, everything is redacted, including Mark's brother's suicide, which he attributes to Freddy. But Will doesn't really believe in Freddy. He thinks that Laurie's dad is the one who killed Laurie's mom because that's what he saw. And this is never cleared up in any way, shape, or form. Did Freddy make him see that? Did Freddy possess Laurie's dad to do it? I don't know. But I do think there was no accident that the actor who plays Laurie's dad is very similar looking to Robert Englund. They are very similar. I don't think it's an accident. Anyway, so Will goes to talk to Laurie. They go to that thing in the cornfield. And Gibbs already drunk by the time we get there. Everyone's partying. Jason shows up. Of course he does. But so Gibb passes out in the cornfield. We don't see it. She's Trey with a broken neck. But don't make me ask you twice, which you are technically asking him twice when you say that. And then you think Freddy's going to kill her, but then he gets splattered with blood. Also, there's a tweaker. That's literally what he's called, a tweaker, who was sexually assaulting her. But Jason, the social justice warrior, because he stabs both of them through, so it's not necessarily good. But yeah, and we get Freddy's line, "No, she's mine." I love that line because it's that sense of, you get a sense of vulnerability to Freddy. Like he was about finally ready to do this. Finally kill someone, and Jason, yeah. Then Jason goes on a rampage. I do like when the dude lights him on fire and it does jack shit. I do want to point out earlier, we're like, Jason, you're special. Because no matter what they do to you, you can never die. And I'm like, yeah, because he's already dead. Several times. He's a zombie since part 6. Did they watch any of these? We get no backstory because you can't. Because when New Line got the rights, they got Jason. That's it. That's it. They've been trying to do this since 1994. At the end of Jason Goes to Hell. And it took nearly 10 years to do that. But, yeah, after the Ohio cornfield massacre, all the important characters get in Will's van and drive off. and they're like, "What just happened?" Like it's like, is it that Freddy? No, that's some big dude in a hockey mask, and it's like, Leonard's like, "Just take me home," and everyone gets out except for Laurie, and then Laurie's dad shows up, and there's a fight between them, and then sort of just like he tries to explain to her here because he was trying to explain before, but every time he tries, he gets something happens. He tries to explain about what he saw. She doesn't believe him, but then she confronts her dad. Well, they were in Weston Hills, and so they get out and they escape, and they go to Mark's house. And I always thought this was a waste of a character because Mark seems to know the most about Freddy, so they kill him off by using his brother, played by Zach Ward, the boy from the Christmas Story. I remember his name. But yeah, just they he yells at me, burns his back, said Freddy's back. I still prefer Kincaid. Freddy is back. I prefer that over this, but you know. So now Mark's dead. I never mentioned again in the movie after this. But yeah. So they all reconvene at a secret place to figure out what they're going to do because Jason is still out there, and Freddy, they don't know if it's the same person or not. But then Officer Lachlan Munro shows up. Again, bit of convenience for this movie, and his explanation is, well, the big Scooby van out back tipped me off. No, bullshit. It's convenience. It's an excuse for convenience. Because it's way too convenient for some of these things. Way too convenient. Because he's trying to tell Gary Chalk, no, we know who did it. You have witnesses who say they saw someone in a hockey mask. You are ignoring those people because you believe it's Freddy. But why are you ignoring what they're saying? Just because you believe it's Freddy, but they're saying it's a hockey match. You gotta use your fucking brain, right? Right. Thank you. Anyway, so we have another dream sequence where they say they're going to sacrifice a virgin, and it's going to be Laurie, and you're waiting. Like, there's complaints, because there's one thing, after she faints, they take her to the hospital or to the nurse's office? Because Kia's looking at a book about nose jobs, which she talks about it a couple times, and it's only so they can have that scene where Freddy plucks it off. And yes, it's a viable complaint. He flicks the nose off. It comes off. Unlike with Gil, where he just went right through him, the nose comes off, but she wakes up and she's perfectly fine. That's not how Freddy's dreams work. Well, he wasn't strong enough yet. Why did her nose come off? If he wasn't strong enough yet, or would have went through her nose. Doesn't make any sense. And one of that cool moment, I think they put that in the trailer, actually. If I remember correctly, but anyway. There we go. So, they decide what they're going to do. They realize that in Weston Hills, they gave them something to suppress the dreams. Hypnosil. So they're going to go there and get the Hypnosil. Everybody pile in the van and let's go together, including Officer Lachlan Munro. And they get there, and they're going to look for Hypnosil, and conveniently, Jason happens to show up. Again, I must call bullshit. This is convenience for convenience sake. There is no way. How? How did he find them? How did he know they were there? What? Why? He smushes the security guard with the door. Pancake. Dead. And then electrocutes Lachlan Munro. Officer Lachlan Munro. And I think Linderman. No, not Linderman. No. Meanwhile, Freddy. I have to reiterate this from the last one I did, or from Freddy's Dead, because Freeberg, he's a pot smoker, so he's smoking weed, and Freddy gets into his head, which I gotta reiterate, weed stops REM sleep. So he would not be dreaming. But the people who write movies think that weed is an hallucinogen, so there you go. And Freddy is this worm that jumps down his throat and possesses him. So is that how he possessed Laurie's dad? I don't know. But yeah, here we get Freddy versus Jason. Kinda. As he gives Jason a double dose of Thorazine in the neck. But not before Freebird is killed off. Freeberg. No, Freebird! No, Freeberg is killed off with a slice. And Freddy is now back in the dream world because that's immediate. So they decide the best way is to take Jason's body and bring him to Camp Crystal Lake. So they do that. They drive all the way from Ohio to New Jersey in record fucking time. Do you see my point about conveniences? They're just able to drive from Ohio to New Jersey in the same night. Bullshit. And they keep hitting them with I call it Thorazine. It's a sedative. But because that's what Dr. Loomis uses on Michael Myers and Booty Cheeks, he keeps using the Thorazine to knock him out, and they keep one more sedative for Laurie, because she's got to go in and convince Jason to fight Fred. I don't know. But yeah, we get some Freddy vs. Jason action, and they get Jason's mythology wrong by thinking he's afraid of water because he drowned. No. Dude lived underwater. Walked underwater in the 8th one. No. He's not afraid of water at all. Or he wouldn't have been on a boat to New York. Vancouver. He's not afraid of water. And I don't know why they put that in there. I do like the line earlier. Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. We could use that. But that's in a dream, so I don't use it. Jason drowned accidentally. He wasn't afraid of the water. He's never. I mean, it makes sense that he could be afraid of the water, but he's not. Never has been, but here he is, apparently. I do like when Freddy takes one of his blades and just kind of sticks it in the temple. It's just that sense of, oh! You see it go through, it's like, oh, man. Yeah. But, so finally we get Freddy versus Jason at Camp Crystal Lake kicking each other's ass. But we do get some casualties. Linderman is killed when he hits a flagpole. Does that mean he's a flagpole sitter? Paranoia, everybody's trying to get me. And Kia is thrown against a tree and killed. Now, but not before we get the line, how sweet, dark meat. Because, yeah. More kick-ass stuff. And to the contrary, Rey Mysterio did not do any stunts for Jason in this movie. Or whatever they said it was. For the pinball stuff, it was not him. Unless it was his uncle, but there's no proof of this. So, he did not. So we get to the final confrontation between Freddy and Jason. We get this, Freddy's arm is cut off in the real world, because they gotta do like the original, because they only watched the first 3, and he's brought out into the real world, which works. I do, some watches, it's a little bit more gnarly, because in the first one, it's his hat, and we don't see it. Here we see it, and it's his freaking ear. Yeah. Freddy gets stabbed with his own claw. I do like this because Jason, you think Jason's dead because he's been stabbed with his own machete. Then he pops up, gets Freddy with his own claw, and is like, peace out, falls into the water. And then Freddy explodes all over the place because they rigged an explosion. It was like propane or something. Been an explosion. And, yeah. The original ending was actually supposed to be a sort of sex scene where Will and Laurie were about to get it on, and it's revealed that it's actually Freddy and she's in a dream. But dumbass audience members thought this meant that Will was becoming Freddy or some shit, so they changed the ending. Something like that. Like, I don't know. They thought Will was going to kill her, or he was becoming Freddy. I don't know. They didn't realize it was a dream. Because obviously, I think this one was not for, like, I don't think they were marketing this to people who were fans of the franchise. This were those, I think there was a lot of casual audiences. Like, oh, we know who Freddy is, know who Jason is. We haven't seen their movies, though. So they don't understand the mythology, really, and don't really understand that's a dream. So they changed it to this ending where I get in an argument with a coworker of mine who says, because Jason is carrying Freddy's severed head, it means that Jason won. No. It's supposed to be inconclusive. Because he comes out of the water and he's holding Freddy's head and Freddy winks at the camera. Because he does that now. And it's just like, oh, but Jason won. I'm like, no. I always interpreted it as Freddy won and now has control of Jason. At least for now. Because if I did a sequel, talk about the sequels they came up with, I would have it where the opening has Freddy barking orders at Jason, but Jason chops his head in half with a machete, and Freddy's sent back to the dream world. But he's still got power, you know. But they also had an idea for an ending where they would both end up in hell and be greeted by Pinhead. But obviously they couldn't get the rights from Dimension for that. So, yeah. But also, somebody must have seen Jason Goes to Hell, because they had the Necronomicon and the Kandarian Dagger in that movie. And somebody had the idea to make a sequel, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, which also would have had them have to get the rights for Evil Dead, or at least Ash Williams. But they did make a comic book that killed off the two remaining characters from this movie, so fuck that comic book. Yeah, Dead Meat, Zorn, they did a kill count on it, and immediately one of the first two kills are Laurie and Will. And I'm like, no, bullshit. You can just don't bring back the characters then. I hate that. Don't bring back characters from the previous movie if you're just going to kill them off. Nightmare 3. Right? I'm just saying. Don't do that. Don't. And the rest is Ash stuff. I get it. They wanted Ash to be the main character, but Laurie and Will could have stayed in the... I don't know. They obviously didn't know how to write them in there with Ash, so... But they had other characters they could have just replaced them with. I don't know. But that's Freddy vs. Jason for you. And it's pretty good. I still enjoy this. It's one of my favorites, man. Yeah, it's that battle, Freddy versus Jason. A line that was in the trailer but not in the actual movie was cut. Freddy versus Jason, place your bets. No, but we get the welcome to my world, bitch, from Laurie. But, yeah, it's good. It's good. So what are your thoughts on Freddy vs. Jason? Let me know so much. Like, share, and subscribe. I just have one movie left, and unfortunately, it is the remake. I've only watched this 3 times. 3 times. It's not one I'll put on. I went to the theater to see this. Watched it once when I got the DVD. Watched it the 3rd time when I did my first review, and that's it. Now I have to watch it for a 4th time. There are some good things. I like Jackie Earle Haley. I like Katie Cassidy at the beginning of this. But as soon as she dies... And I'll explain why when I do that review. But for now, thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.